Homegrown tomatoes simply taste better, rich, juicy, and full of flavor that store-bought varieties can't match. Beyond taste, growing your own tomatoes is a step toward food independence and sustainability. Tomatoes are easy to grow as long as you pay attention to a few details. Tomatoes are also one of the most productive garden crops. Just a few plants can yield pounds of fresh fruit throughout the season. Hi, I'm Amy. I'm a master gardener and had a certified organic farm for many years. I'm going to help you grow fabulous tomatoes this season and avoid the top 5 mistakes most people make when growing tomatoes. And stick around to the end for a few bonus tips. Growing healthy tomatoes organically begins with understanding the soil and the specific nutrients they need. Mistake number one is having poor soil nutrients, namely calcium. Tomatoes have a high need for calcium. The fruits grow faster, and calcium is vital for strengthening and stabilizing cell walls. So it's important to have a continuous supply of calcium to prevent the dreaded blossom end rot. Blossom end rot does not spread from plant to plant, but you should remove infected fruits. Leave the plant because future tomatoes can be just fine. Fungicides and insecticides are not very effective since this is a nutrient and water issue. You can add bone meal to your garden in late fall or early spring. Bone meal provides calcium and phosphorus through a slow, steady release and lasts about 6 to 12 months in the soil, so it is something you need to apply annually. I like the Down to Earth brand, which I'll link below, but it is readily available in garden centers. However, bone meal doesn't deliver nutrients immediately, so that's why we apply it at least 6 weeks before planting. The soil microbes must first mineralize it, breaking it down so it's available for the plants. I have a website article that takes a deep dive into blossom end rot and the absorption of nutrients that you can check out. A popular and effective vegan alternative to bone meal is rock phosphate. It provides phosphorus and calcium to plants similar to bone meal, but it is derived from rocks, obviously, rather than animal bones. Rock phosphate does take a bit longer to break down in the soil, so make sure you plan ahead. Gypsum can be added in the fall and will make the soil lighter as well as add calcium. It is a great additive for heavy clay soils. There are also calcium chloride sprays on the market that you apply on the foliage. Use caution with these. It's important to understand that it's not a cure for existing blossom end rot, and it's best used as a preventative measure or, more importantly, in conjunction with other soil amendments. Also, these sprays can cause plant injury if not used correctly. Mistake number two is also nutrition related. Never add fresh manure, not even more mild manure such as rabbit, because you will get lots of leaves and little fruit. Before planting or as you're preparing your bed, add lots of well aged compost. I do spray tomatoes with fish emulsion during transplanting and bud formation. I'm a big fan of fish emulsion and I'll link it below. It is a good organic fertilizer and has low levels of nitrogen so it doesn't burn. Consistent water is very important as well. Mistake number three is related to the absorption of nutrients. The calcium needs ample moisture to move around inside the plant. When drought occurs, the fruit continues to develop, but will be affected by a calcium deficiency. Unfortunately, waterlogged soils can interfere with the root's ability to take up nutrients as well. We can't control the rainfall, but we can make sure we have good draining soil. Tomatoes need at least 1 inch of water per week. Tomatoes benefit from a thick mulch such as straw. Not only does the mulch retain water, but it keeps soil organisms from splashing up on the leaves. Tomatoes like it hot. It's important to aim for good transplant timing. Tomatoes can be picky about being transplanted and don't like change. To help with making a good transition, set your seedling trays outside on nice days. I often take my trays from the grow room to the greenhouse and then from the greenhouse to the outdoors. Gradually expose them to outdoor conditions over 7 to 10 days to help them toughen up. This is called hardening off and helps them get used to the outside temperatures so they don't have transplant shock. Tomatoes can be planted when the soil temperature reaches a minimum of 60 degrees Fahrenheit or 15 degrees Celsius. In Zone 6, that's late April, early May. Zone 5 friends may need to wait till Mother's Day. Once they are ready to plant in the ground, dig a deep hole with your trowel and plant them right up to the first leaves. I often remove the lowest leaves before planting in the ground. You can do this a couple of days before setting in the soil. By planting the seedlings deeply, you give the tomato an advantage. They will send roots out of the stem to better anchor and feed the young plant. Plant tomatoes 18 to 24 inches apart if you are using rows. If you are using raised beds with deep soil, you can have them on the closer end or plant them on the closer end. Here we are trellising tomatoes, which leads me to the next mistake. Mistake number 5 is not giving good support in place for your tomatoes. Indeterminate tomatoes grow tall and like to have a stable structure to climb on. One of my favorite types of trellis is cattle panels. They are sold at farm stores as livestock fencing. They are pricey, but they will last for years. A tomato laden with fruit gets pretty heavy. The traditional metal cages work, but often need support. I typically pound in a metal fence post and then tie the cage to the fence post to give it that extra support. PVC pipe can also be glued together to make a strong and interesting looking support. I typically sink 6-foot metal fence posts every 4 feet and then run hemp string in between them. As the tomatoes grow, I make sure they have good contact. I never prune my tomatoes. Another reason trellising is important is because it increases airflow among your plants. Air circulation is important, especially in humid conditions, to prevent mildews. I have a video on mildews that tells you how to recognize them and prevent them. I have written a number of books on gardening and wildlife conservation and have links in the description. Please check them out. I have a few bonus tips to help you with your tomato growing. Be careful not to injure the roots if cultivation is needed near the plants. Best to cultivate shallowly with a hoe and not this tool, as tomatoes don't like to be disturbed. Tomatoes and marigolds are besties. Plant them together. Marigolds are a great companion plant for tomatoes, and they look pretty. Studies have shown that marigolds help repel whiteflies and nematodes. Tomatoes and peppers obviously do great in grow bags. The bag on the left is 10 gallons and the right one is 7. Grow bags are super cool. They allow air circulation, which means healthy roots. They are great for patios and along a walkway. Get the ones with handles so you can move them around if needed. Keep in mind that plants in grow bags will need more frequent watering than those in garden soil. Tomatoes do well in containers and even in hanging baskets like the one on the right side of the picture. This is a great way to use some vertical space. Okay, I've made myself hungry. I can't wait for the first tomatoes of the season. Check out my playlist of organic pest control to prevent any problems this growing season. Thanks for watching and have a fabulous sunny day.